The engineer driving Uber, the accountant working at McDonald's, the IT professional doing warehouse packing, the marketing manager delivering food. You are a recent migrant, you are a skilled professional, new to Australia, and struggling to find work in your own field. Look, I am not going to lie to you that Australian job market has bias, conscious and unconscious. Your name, your accent, your background. Some employers will judge you unfairly. But there are also thousands of Australian employers who value diverse experience, your international perspective, and skilled professionals, regardless of where you are from. That's the Australian spirit, and that's what we call Australia is a fair go country. Your LinkedIn profile is your tool to reach those employers who are looking for the talent, to show them you are not a risk, you are an asset. Your international experience makes you more valuable, not less. That you understand Australian business, you are ready to contribute, and you have exactly what they need. Hello everyone, welcome back to Applied Intelligence Insights. I'm your host Rajesh Yogi, and this is part 3 of our LinkedIn optimization series, and this one is personal. You didn't move to Australia to survive in such jobs or do survival jobs. You came here to build a career, but the Australian job market doesn't recognize your credentials. Employers don't trust your overseas experience, and you are stuck in a cycle of rejection and frustration. In next 12 minutes, I am going to show you exactly how to transform your LinkedIn profile from overseas candidate with unclear background to a qualified professional ready to contribute to Australian employers. This is not about hiding who you are or where you are from. It's about translating your experience into language Australian employers understand, signaling your readiness to work in Australia, and positioning yourself as a solution to their problem, not a risk. So let's talk honestly about what you are facing. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Let me show you data. 53% of skilled migrants in Australia work in jobs below their qualifications. Engineering graduate from overseas, 47% unemployment in first 2 years. Internationally qualified professional earns 20 to 30% less than the Australian educated counterparts for the same role. It takes skilled migrants an average of 2 to 3 years to find work matching their own qualification. Now, why Australian employers hesitate to hire you? Let's discuss reasons. Okay? Reason number 1, they don't understand your credentials. Your degree from India, Philippines, Pakistan, China, anywhere, they don't know if it's equivalent to Australian qualification. Your job titles doesn't match Australian standards. Your company names means nothing to them. They can't verify your experience easily. Reason number 2, cultural fit. Australian employers, they always have a concern, and often this is a unconscious bias. Will you understand Australian workplace communication? Can you work in a flat organizational structures? Because from overseas, maybe you are working in a multi-layer, organizational structure. Do you know local business practices and regulation? Because maybe in overseas, the regulations were not very strict like here in Australia. Will there be any language or accent barriers? Reason number 3 is regarding your visa and work rights. That is, are you legally allowed to work, or do you need sponsorship? Are there any restriction on your hours or roles? Will hiring you create legal complication for them? Reason number 4 is risk aversion. They rather hire someone locally safe with local experience. Your overseas track records feel uncertain. Easier to hire someone they understand. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth, and this is not fair. You are qualified, you do have experience, but Australian employers are risk averse and you are perceived as a risk. Your LinkedIn profile's job is to eliminate that perceived risk. Let's optimize it. To show them you are not a gamble, you are a sure bet. Okay? Before we dive into tactics, you need to understand something critical. We are not hiding your background. We are not pretending you are Australian. We are not being dishonest. So, what we are doing is, we are not hiding anything about you that you are from overseas. We are highlighting transferable skills and Australian readiness. We are not lying about your qualification. We are trying to explain equivalencies and clearly. We are not changing your name to sound more Australian, but being authentically yourself while demonstrating cultural awareness. Okay? So your diverse background is actually an asset. You are bringing perspectives, skills, experience that Australian only candidate don't have. You just need to package it so employers can see that value instead of seeing you as a risk. So now let's optimize your profile step by step, and we will discuss 7 steps, and later we will also discuss the AI prompts which you can copy paste and use directly to optimize your resume in a practical class. Let's fix LinkedIn and get back to work where you train to do in 7 steps. Let's discuss the 7 steps. Number 1 step is your profile photo and your name. That's your first impression. Looking at Australian requirements, you should have a professional headshot, smiling naturally, don't over smile. Your business attire should be casual, Australian style. Australian don't need any tie because here things are flat and Australians are more casual. Solid background with good light and a recent photo. You should look like approachable and confident. Okay, don't put a passport style photo or a traditional formal wear from your home country, okay, unless it is relevant to role. Your group photo which you have cropped, or maybe you are in a outdoor or casual photo. Photos with sunglasses, try to avoid. Photos with hats, try to avoid. And do not put a overly filtered or edited photos. Be authentic. Australian workplace culture is less formal than many other countries. Your LinkedIn photo should reflect this professional but approachable. Think friendly colleague, not a corporate big boss. Okay, coming back to your LinkedIn name, that is you can show full legal name like Rajesh Kumar Yogi or Rajesh Kumar Patel, okay, or you can use a first name and last name like Rajesh Patel or Rajesh Yogi, okay. You can leave the middle name. Most Australians, they use first name and last name. You can also add your professional credential or degree in front of your name like Rajesh Patel CA if you are chartered accountant, or Priya Sharma MBA if you are a MBA. That immediately signals your credentials. Do not change your name to something more Australian sounding like RJP or RJ Patel unless that's genuinely your legal name or what you actually go by. Be authentic. The right employer will value you for who you are. Let's move to step number 2, that is headlines. Okay, use AI prompt from a practical training which you will find later in this video. In headlines, you mention your overseas experience. Your headline is critical for migrant. Okay, it needs immediately answer 3 questions. What do? You have to explain. Can you do it in Australia? You have to explain. Maybe you are a big boss in back in your country, or maybe you have a high-end civil engineer here in your country. But can you do it in Australia? You have to show this, and also you have to show your work rights, that you are available or legal to work in Australia. Okay, let me show you a weak headlines for migrants, which people most of the time they use, like senior software engineer, no context, when, where, and what's your current role. Instead, use strong headlines, okay, like software engineer, 8 years Java, Python, AWS, Australian PR, ex Tech Mahindra, seeking Melbourne opportunities, and you can mention your skill, visa status, credible company, location clearly. Okay, now there is something which we call critical is your visa status. Mention it clearly. If you are on a temporary visa, just mention temporary work status. Okay, and also mention all your credentials. Mention location where you want to work. Okay, like a Melbourne based company you want to work, or Sydney, or open to work in Victoria or New South Wales, or available Australia wide. Oh, and maybe you can also show you are planning to relocate. Okay, so step number 3 is about section. This about section is very important from a migrant perspective, because here you are going to tell your migration story strategically. Okay, you can use almost like 5-6 paragraphs to address your about section. Otherwise, you use the AI prompt, which I am going to discuss later, and craft your paragraphs. But let me quickly discuss. That is, in paragraph 1, maybe you can discuss the current professional identity, your core experience, or Australian connection. In paragraph 2, you should discuss your credible experience, highlight recognizable companies or impressive achievements, frame international experience as an asset. Okay, and discuss some specific outcome with metrics. Okay, in paragraph 3, you should show your Australian readiness. That is, what sort of Australian education, credential, or certificates you have achieved so far, or understanding of local business context. Use some cultural adaptation also. In paragraph 4, what you are bringing, you should mention in 2 to 3 sentences. That is, unique value of your diverse background, how your experience translates to Australian context, and your approach or working style. In paragraph 5, maybe you want to discuss something regarding your target role, your location, or type of companies which you want to work. In paragraph 6 or 7, you can discuss some call to action, that okay, someone can reach you or someone can look for your references. Okay, and let me quickly show you some good example section output here. Okay, and by the way, you can create all these outputs using the AI prompt, which we are going to practice later in this video. Okay, now let's move to step 4, that is section 4, that is the experience section. You have to translate your international experience very well. That is your asset. You don't have to hide. That is your asset. You have to show. This section is where you translate your overseas experience into language and context that Australian employers understand and trust. Okay, let me show you some confusing language, like senior engineer, senior IT engineer, or senior civil engineer with ABC Construction Private Limited, based in Mumbai, working from 2015 to 2023, worked on various construction projects, managed team members, responsible for design and planning, coordinated with clients. It's completely wrong and confusing, because here company name doesn't mean nothing to Australian recruiters. No context of company and size. You have not mentioned any metrics or achievement. Doesn't translate to Australian equivalent. Let me show you a improved version. Okay, like senior civil engineering, Larsen and Toubro, you worked there. It's like a 23 billion revenue making company equivalent to CBP contractors in Australia. You worked there for 9 years. You led some structural design and project management for $20 million, add some matrices. You manage cross-functional engineering team of 15 plus professional, including geotechnical, electrical engineers, or you can mention those metrics. You have designed 3 major highways, bridges using Australian equivalent design code like Indian standard 456 or Australian standard 3600. You have also coordinated with government stakeholders like Mumbai Metropolitan Regional Development Authority on projects approval for environment assessment and safety compliance. Similar process to Vic Roads Transports here in Victoria. Okay, so you have to bring the context. You have to bring what you have done and how this match currently with the Australian perspective. Okay, so the optimization technique is there, include all size revenues, use Australian comparison, specify the tools and standards which you have used, let's say AutoCAD or SAP or some other things which Australian companies they use. You can browse on internet or find through AI prompt. Okay, you also mention the team size, budget, outcome, and the scale of the project. Okay, and frame everything like a global or international terms, like multinational client base across 15 countries, global team coordination across 3 time zones, internationally quality standards like ISO 9001, similar to Australian standard or New Zealand standards. Also try to add a brief note that what you are doing currently in Australia. Okay. Now, in step number 5, you can also add the survivable job which you are currently doing here in Australia as a strategy. Okay, that is something the hardest part. How to handle your current survival job on LinkedIn. If you are driving Uber, working in a warehouse, doing food delivery, or flipping burgers, while searching for professional work, you are facing a dilemma. Okay, we can look for 3 approaches. First approach is include it honestly, but frame it strategically. Let me show you here. Okay, like a warehouse associate where you maintain the Australian employment and you know the workplace culture, and you also demonstrate the Australian work ethics, safety, compliance, and everything. Okay, this is how strategically you have to describe your current job if you want to show it. Okay, so why this work? Because first of all, it's honest and transparent. Australian love transparency and honesty. Shows your that you are employed, you are not only 100% unemployed. Frame it transition, not failure, that you are working on this job because one day you want to land up into a civil engineering job, let's say. In approach to maybe you can list it, but keep it very brief, like focus on a professional identity. Maybe you can just add one line, that is supporting family while transitioning to civil engineering sector. One line, just mention one line. So why this work? Because it acknowledges your current situation and doesn't hide employment gap, and it has a minimum focus on the headline. Okay, now approach the third is don't list it, but address gap in the about section. You don't want to address, okay, you can write like this in about section. Since relocating to Melbourne, I have been focused on obtaining Australian engineering credentials and upskilling myself in Australian standards while working in logistics to support my family during this transition. So still you are here. And why this work? Because you acknowledges the gap without making survival job prominent, and you are focusing on your LinkedIn experience, and you are honest without undermining professional identity. My recommendation is, if your survival job is helping you develop any relevant skill, customer service, Australian workplace culture, English communication, or teamwork, include it with approach 1. Otherwise, if you want to go with approach 3, it is up to you. suggestion is never lie. Never pretend you are still in your overseas job. Be honest but strategic about how you frame your journey. Step number 6 is your education credentials. That is proving your equivalency here in Australia. Let me show you a very weak education entry. That is Bachelor of Engineering from XYZ University from India, Pakistan, Philippines in 2010 to 2014. Okay, now let's move this entry, education entry, into a strong education entry. Okay, you can mention Bachelor of Engineering. Let's say it's a civil engineering. Okay, assessed or under assessment as equivalent to Australian bachelor degree by Engineers Australia. You mention the name of the college and you also mention the GPA you scored. Also add the relevant coursework. Here in Australia, the coursework is very important. Like as a civil engineer, you can mention that the coursework includes structural analysis and design, geotechnology engineering, construction project management, engineering material, AutoCAD or technical drawings. Okay, that's how you have to present yourself. Then also you add all the certification and licenses which you have acquired when you came here in Australia. It doesn't matter, it is a security license or a white card or working at height certificate or first aid certificate, Australian driving license. If you want to show that it shows that you are settled here, any short courses in Australian standards. Initially, you can show. The more you eliminate the will your overseas degree count, that is the risk associated with Australian employers. Even a small certification, a white card or a first aid certification, they show initiative and local adaptation. Number 7, the last step is the skill endorsement and recommendations. Okay, you are new in Australia, you just come from overseas. Try to build your connections, try to build your LinkedIn group, try to learn the local Australian softwares like Myo, Zero, Australian tax compliance. If you are looking for a Australian accountant job, if you are looking for a IT job, try to look for Australian IT companies which they use. Most of the time you will find SAP or nowadays AI tools. You can mention all those. Okay, also try to get endorsement as a migrant from your own industry, local meetup groups. Join Australian Professional Association, join those webinars where you can connect with local people and build your endorsements. I'm not saying that don't get endorsement from the overseas, but here in Australia, local connection mean a lot. Okay, now you can also use a AI prompt, which I am going to put in the practical class, that can help you to request for a recommendation or request for a endorsement. You can copy and paste and send to your connection. Okay, the last step that is very, very important, and that step is number 8. Okay, how you are engaged in Australian professional community. My suggestion is, if you are new, better you start posting on LinkedIn, because that shows you that you are engaged on LinkedIn. Use AI prompt and to post 2-3 times per week about you, about your job, about your learning journey, about getting fit into Australia, about industry insights, because maybe you are carrying a lot of experience from overseas, so you can share articles about your field, you can comment on Australian industry news, and also use your professional perspective. Okay, to move into a practical class, let's recap your complete LinkedIn transformation as a migrant professional. Immediate action is update your headline, update your photo, update your experience, update your skills. In LinkedIn, there are 50 slots of skill, so use all 50 slots, because recruiters search your resume based on skills. You can watch my previous video which I have created for job seekers. You can find why mentioning skill is very, very important. Okay, and use all the 50 slots of skill assessment. And how to create skills, you can use AI prompt, which I have discussed already in the previous video. In next week, what you can do is you can start getting recommendations from local connections. Okay, connect to at least 50 plus professionals in your field, join some industry groups on LinkedIn, and engage daily. Ongoing monthly, try to update your credentials if you have got. Also, start a job search even with great coffee chat with someone, industrial professional, network as a Australian professional event, share your learning and help other migrants also, because you are building a connection with other migrants. You did not move halfway across the world, leave your family and friend, struggle through your visa process and survival jobs to give up on your career now. Use LinkedIn strategically, eliminate the perceived risk, demonstrate your value, get back to what you were trained to do. All the AI prompts, template, example, and checklist from this video are in the free resource pack. Let's see you in the practical class. Thank you for your time today.